10 has said the UK is in talks with senior Taliban members to secure safe passage out of Afghanistan for a number of British nationals and Afghans who remain there.
These negotiations come after a Taliban pledge to allow further departures. Well, joining us now is Taliban spokesman Dr Shaheen. Dr Shaheen, thank you very much indeed for being with us on Good Morning Britain. In a previous interview, I heard you saying that you don't want people to leave Afghanistan because you want all of the talents to remain. But there are clearly hundreds, if not thousands, of people desperate to get out of the country. We understand British officials are now in talks with your officials about getting them out. Will you provide safe passage for those who want to leave?
Yes, every Afghan citizen who is or she is intending to go abroad to another country and has proper documents like passport, visas, they can go. And they can also come to Afghanistan. But we urge them to stay in Afghanistan as we have gained our independence. It is time for all Afghans to build their country. Their capacities, their talents are direly needed in this crucial time of Afghanistan, where our people are passing through in a very testing time that we have. So, but anyway, if they are intending to go to travel abroad, that is their right.
OK. Now, you have said no retaliation and no revenge for people who have worked with Western forces or Western agencies in the past 2 decades. However, there are numerous reports of threats and acts of killings and arrests for people who have been seen to have worked with Western forces. A leaked United Nations report said the group has priority lists of individuals it wants to arrest and is threatening to kill or arrest family members if the wanted don't give themselves up. A former government spokesperson was killed by the Taliban a few weeks ago as punishment for his deeds. Sources have confirmed Taliban fighters last week executed 2 senior police officials. The former security police officer in the southwestern province of Farah was fatally shot. At least a dozen former provincial officials of the Ghani government have been detained around the country. How is that not retaliation and revenge for those who worked with the former government or for those who've worked with Western forces?
That I said there is no retaliation. That is our policy. We have granted general amnesty to all those who are working with foreign forces. And there is no hit list as it is circulated or appeared in the media. But if there are spillers or our opponents or the former NDS members of the Kabul administration, in order to aggravate the situation, they are doing such a thing, guising as Taliban members. Some of them have been detained. We have detained almost more than 1,000 burglars, thieves, and those who are posing or masquerading as Taliban members, harassing people. So we have detained them. But as far as our policy is concerned and our members are concerned, they are protecting the honor and life and dignity and property of the people, not targeting them or harassing them.
Unfortunately, that is contradicted by reports on the ground. Fighters have pinned night letters to the front doors of Afghans who assisted Western forces. I mean, you might have a policy which you can express out in Doha. That is not being adhered to by Taliban fighters on the ground in Afghanistan.
Who pen those leaflets, night letters, these are our opponents in order to malign us. And they are themselves are being prosecuted by the security forces of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. So in order to, they want to malign us, to spread scare. So they are the real culprits, and they will be tried in the courts and punished.
There are real concerns for the women and girls within Afghanistan and whether they will be allowed to carry on living their lives in a free and safe way, of course. Can you talk about the allowance of women to carry on doing their jobs, whether they'll be able to go to work, and also studying as well at school and at university? We've had varying reports of a professor of economics saying that she will be allowed to go back to work, but only once the soldiers have been taught how to behave around women. What is the situation within the education system? Let's start there for women, and what subjects they'll be able to study and how they'll be able to continue, if they will be able to continue their studies.
Yes, they can continue their jobs, their work, and they can continue to study and have access to education. There is no problem with that. Already, the Ministry of Higher Education has informed all private university, governmental university, their deans, professors, lecturers, to report to their jobs and make preparation for starting classes. So all female and male students of university can resume their studies and classes. So there is no problem with that. The only thing is that the female, being a Muslim woman and Afghan woman, observe their hijab. Only that.
OK, so they, regardless of what they're studying, so if they are studying engineering, if they are studying medicine, if they are studying law, the women in Afghanistan will be able to continue to study those subjects?
Yes, yes, there is no change in that. They have been told to join their classes, resume their classes.
You have just said that there will be no bar for women to continue working. There is a top police officer who is a woman, deputy head of criminal investigations in the Afghan Interior Ministry, beaten by Taliban fighters at Kabul airport as she tried to get out. She'd been a notable media presence. She was a role model for Afghan women. She's now on the run. We had pictures of a news anchor, a female news anchor, turned away by the Taliban as she arrived for work at her radio station. In a video that she posted online, she said, "I was not allowed in despite having my office card. The male employees with office cards were able to enter the office. I was told that I couldn't continue my duties." What you're saying, Dr Shaheen, and what is actually happening on the ground, there seems to be a discrepancy there.
No discrepancy. That is, if it was discrepancies, why the female anchors of the Law News and Ariana News, the Kabul News, Afghanistan TV, and tens of other TVs, they are have joined their work, and already they are reporting, they are continuing their jobs. So it means there is no discrepancy. If there is a personal incident of that particular female anchor, So it is limited to her. I don't know, it should be investigated. But as a policy, many of female anchors, reporters, they are continuing their jobs. There is no problem with that.
Is there a concern, though, Dr Shaheen, that many of your supporters are very hard-line Taliban supporters, and you have a new range of supporters like yourself who are offering a much more polished view of what the Taliban is? And as you say, and as Susanna's saying, what you're saying is these women can carry on their studies. We want to keep the talent in the country. But you need to keep your hard-line supporters happy as well. Are you concerned that those supporters of the Taliban aren't going to accept what you're saying? They aren't going to accept that women can carry on studying what they want to study. They aren't going to accept that women like this news anchor can go to work. And you trying to control those foot soldiers, those supporters of the Taliban, is going to be virtually impossible.
No, what I am saying is not from myself. It is a policy. I'm just explaining to you a policy. And this policy should be followed and implemented by me up to foot soldiers. So there is no anyone presenting the image in a polished way or unpolished way. It is the policy. Everyone should follow it and implement it. So that is maybe some personal incident that is happening in everywhere. Even in UK, you have many incidents, but they don't reflect the policy of UK. So the same applies to Afghanistan. While we are in these big initial days, but with the passage of every day, the situation is improving. Everything will be put in its proper framework, and I hope we will have Afghanistan developed and prosper, rebuilt, and have also steps taken further for expanding education, both for male and female.
Dr Shaheen, the reason that forces went into Afghanistan was after the 9/11 attacks and Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda being in Afghanistan. A video surfaced on Monday of bin Laden's security chief and arms supplier, Amin al-Haq, returning to his home province in Afghanistan in the final hours of the US withdrawal. How are you going to stop Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan?
Yes, not allowing anyone, any group, any individual to use the soil of Afghanistan against the United States, its allies in other countries. It is our commitment in our policy. We will abide by that. And we consider it to be in the best interest of us, because we want to start rebuilding our country, to bring about comprehensive peace and stability in our country. So that is our commitment. So we have given this message and sent this message to all, that those who are intending to use the soil of Afghanistan, they have no place in Afghanistan.
Al-Haq is on the list of specially designated global terrorists. So what will you do about his presence in Afghanistan?
Who? Sorry, if you repeat.
Amin al-Haq. He was put on the list of specially designated global terrorists in 2001. He's now back in Afghanistan. What will you do about his presence there?
I don't have details about you said, but in terms of blacklist, all our leaders are on the blacklist. All our leaders are on the reward list and the prize list of the United States. So it was a kind of some violation on our rights. While we were fighting for the independence of our country against occupation, they were putting us on the blacklist. If your country was occupied and you were fighting for the independence of your country, for liberation of your country, it's the United States or your country or the United Nations put you on the blacklist, would it be fair and justice? So it is, unfortunately, we are living in such kind of world.
Well, you've said that you will not allow groups like Al-Qaeda to re-establish a safe haven with Afghanistan. One way of showing that very publicly, showing that not just to the people in your country, but globally, would be to go and get Amin al-Haq, someone who was Osama bin Laden's right-hand man and was integral to the development of Al-Qaeda. That would be a signal to the world that you are trying to make sure that this can't happen again.
No. It is our messages to Amin al-Haq and everyone that Afghanistan is no more a place for anyone who is intending to carry out their foreign agenda. This is not a place for them, and they should understand. And the law will be implemented, and we have commitment, and we have Doha agreement.
Dr. Shaheen, there has already been a terror attack, and it happened at Kabul airport. Almost 200 people killed in that attack, and that was ISIS-K. What are you going to do about that terror group?
Yes, we will tackle with that group, and even that happened at a Bay Gate, which was controlled at that time by the former Kabul administration Special Force 01. But now we have gained the independence of our country, so any group who is fighting against the Islamic government, they have no justification, Islamic justification, to fight. And of course, they have no road among the people, and we will deal with them, and they will be brought to book if they ever commit any gruesome incident.
Dr. Shaheen, I know that we are against time, but a lot of our viewers this morning are very distressed that we are giving you airtime, allowing you to speak on this platform. How are you going to persuade the world that the Taliban is in control of a country and they can be trusted, that they aren't a terrorist organisation, they aren't working to their own agenda, and on a global scale, they are a group and a party that need to be heard and need to be given a voice, so they don't just think of you as terrorists?
Yes. Yes, we know many people are biased against us. They have following a very biased policy against us, while at the same time they are advocating human rights, human values. That is why they are opposing that we tell you our side of the story on this show. But we were fighting for liberation of our country. It is our legitimate right. We want to tell you the other side of the story. It is our right, and it is your need to hear. If you want to pass fear judgment about developments occurring in Afghanistan, otherwise your judgment be one-sided. So, but should be fear and should understand each other and have a peaceful coexistence with each other. Yes, we have different cultures, different ideologies, we are Muslims and there are other religions in the world, like you Christian. But at the same time, we different countries can have cooperation in relation with each other, while knowing we are different in terms of religion and culture.
Dr. Shaheen, the reason that people are afraid and upset is because the Taliban have harboured terrorists, arrested people simply for working with Western forces, threatened individuals and groups of people, carried out executions, oppressed groups, women, homosexuals, and continue, in the eyes of many, many people, to pose a serious threat. And whatever you might say, a lot of people believe, unfortunately, the worst. We appreciate your time this morning, Dr. Suhail Shaheen from the Taliban in Doha.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. One thing I say, all those cases are done for our malignment by our opponents, posing as Taliban members.
I think people will make up their own minds, Dr. Shaheen. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.